Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us on Hmong Unabridged, where we talk about what it is like to be Hmong Americans living in the United States of America. Today we are continuing our folklore stories, and today we are going to continue on with part 2 of Tunjo. I am your co-host, Sho.
And I am your other host, Banya. Before we start this next part of the story, I just want to clarify that we did get some comments from one of our listeners, and they did clarify that when we talk about the king of heaven, and we talk about the king that wanted Tunjo's wife, it is not a heavenly kingdom. What it translates to is he is the king in the capital city. So he is not the actual king of heaven, but he is just king of the capital city. And we want to make sure everyone understands that because as we move forward with the story, there will be an actual king of heaven. And we don't want to get mixed up with this king, which is just an earthly king. And in Hmong, it is called Hoa Tai King Ching, but then he is just the king of the capital city. So let's go ahead and continue on with our story. So we've left off where the king came back to beg Tunjo to allow him to marry his wife. And for some reason, Tunjo's wife has told him to go and be king and allow the current king to marry her. And right now we are waiting to hear what Tunjo is going to say. So this is episode 2 of Tunjo and Nkauj. So let's go ahead and see what Tunjo says to his wife. And he said, Nkauj, I cannot go and be king. I only want to marry you. No, you must go, she said. This happened because of you. So go and marry his 9 wives and rule over the king as his king and his kingdom. Go and make a good life for yourself. But before you leave, you must come back and see me 3 times. His servants will carry you back on his sedan chair. When you reach the edge of town, tell them that you forgot your shoe, that you will go back and grab your shoe. And if they want to do it for you, tell them only you can find your shoe. So you will come back and see me the first time. When they take you back and you reach the outer markings of the edge of town, tell your servants that you've forgotten your cigar, and you must come back to get it. And then you will see me a second time. Then the third time, when your servants carry you out of town for a little while, tell them you had forgotten your hat. So you must return and retrieve your hat. And then you will see me for the third and final time. And so, unable to change her mind, so Tunjo wiped away his tears and went up into the king's sedan chair. And the servants started carrying him away to be king. As they carried him towards the edge of town, he suddenly told the servants, "Oh no, I forgot my shoe. I need to go back and grab it." "Oh, father, you are our king now. Let us go get it for you instead." But then he said to them, "Sons, you cannot find it, for I have placed it where only I can find it." So he hopped off the sedan chair and ran back towards the house. And here in the story, they call the king father, and then the king will call them son as like a type of hierarchy. So that's how we're going to translate the same here in English. When he got there, he saw the previous king and his wife eating at the table, each feeding each other a spoonful of food, happily and giggling and flirting. He sneaked a peek at his wife, and then took his shoe from the doorway and he left. Once he ran back towards his sedan chair, his servants started carrying him again. And as they reached the outskirts of the edge of town, he stopped them again and said, "Oh, sons, I have forgotten my cigar, so I must go back home and grab them. Father, you are now king, and we as your servants, we shall go and bring back your cigar for you." Once again he said, "Oh, sons, I have forgotten my cigar at home. I will go and grab it." And then his servant says, "Father, you are our king now, and as your servant, we shall go and grab your cigar for you. Just tell us where it is." And Tunjo says, "You will not know where my cigar is, for I placed it where you cannot find it. I will go home instead." So he hopped off the sedan chair and ran back home again. Once he got back, he saw that the old king and Nkauj had already entered the bedchamber. They were kissing and flirting with each other happily. He then grabbed his cigar really quick from his room and ran back out of the house. Once he got back to his servants, they carried him off just a little bit further, and then he said to them, "Oh no, I had forgotten my hat. I must return and get it." "Where did you leave it, my king? We shall go and grab it, since you've already gone back twice already." And he said, No, I shall go, for I've placed it where you cannot find it, and only I know where it is." So he hopped off of the chair and returned quickly as well. Once he got back home, to his surprise, his nice house was gone. Looking at the place where the house was built upon, there was a little tent that Nkauj had built for him with a tiny shrub, and next to it was a small fire hearth that was currently cooking a pot of greens and meat. The old king had already died, and he had already been placed inside the fire hearth, and the fat from his body was sizzling out of his skin. He looked into the sky and saw Nkauj floating high in the sky near a set of clouds. And he cried out to her, "Nkauj, I have returned. I am back. Please come back to me and be my wife again, and I shall be your husband like before. You've already killed the king. We can live as we were before." She looked down on him and said, "Oh, Tunjo, I cannot return. I've already told you not to open that front door, but you did it anyway. And when the king heard you open the door, he came and he liked me so much that he wanted to take me from you. And I despise the king. I despise him so much that I had to kill him. If I return to you and we remained married, there will no longer be a king to rule the kingdom. So you go and be king. But I tell you this, I am already pregnant with your child. So when you leave, your servants will take you to a river, and they will ask you if you think the river flows towards the north or the south. You should not answer them. Go and take a leaf and throw it into the river. If the leaf moves towards the south, say the stream is going towards the south. And if the leaf moves towards the north, say the stream is going towards the north. So as you cross the river, a hat will flow down the river and cross right in front of you. Catch it, and if the hat belongs to a girl, then that means I have given birth to your daughter, and that means that we will never meet again and our marriage will no longer exist. But if the hat is a boy's hat, then there is a slight chance that we will meet each other again." So after that, Tunjo left to become king of the capital, and Nkauj flew back into the heavens to live with her family. And as the servants carried him towards the kingdom, they came upon a big river, and a giant bridge crossed over the river. And the river was so big that no one knew where the river was flowing. However, the servants knew that the river was flowing from the south to the north, so they decided to test their new king. "King, as you have become our new king, please show us your wisdom. Can you guess which direction the river is coming from and which direction it is going towards?" "Sure," he said. So he walked over and broke off a leaf from a tree, and he set the leaf in the water. And then he saw that the leaf started flowing off towards the north. And then he says, "Oh, my sons, the spring starts from the south and is flowing towards the north." "Oh, the king knows, the king knows. He is wise," the servants exclaimed. One servant even said, "No wonder he had the fate to be king. He knows these things." And so they started carrying him over the bridge to the gates of the capital city. And as they started crossing, he heard a loud sound of water rushing by and saw a hat floating through the water. He reached out and grabbed the hat. Lo and behold, it was a boy's hat. So he took the hat and kept it close to him. "My wife must have had a baby boy," he said to himself. At that exact time, at the house of the old Chinese couple whom Tunjo had served, they had been praying for a child for the longest time, but they were barren. But then one day, there was a big rainfall, and as the storm came through, there was the sound of an infant crying behind the house. The old Chinese man said to his wife, "Wife, what is that crying noise coming from the back of the house? You go and see what it could be." So the wife took an umbrella with her and went into the rain towards the back of the house to check on the crying sound. When she got to the back of the house, she was so shocked to find a baby boy. His head was wrapped in a piece of cloth, and another cloth was wrapped around his feet. She gasped, "Whoa, who gave birth to this baby boy and only wrapping a cloth around his head and around his feet?" She then brought the baby back to her husband and said, "Dear husband, I did indeed went out to the back of the house and found nothing but this crying baby boy whom someone had wrapped his head and feet with 2 pieces of cloth." Her husband instantly took the child and helped his wife remove the wet cloths from the baby. And the wife went and grabbed some dry ones to clean the child. Once the child was dry and cleaned, the husband says, "Dear wife, the heavens must have sent this child to us. We've been praying and now our prayers has been answered. Do not tell anyone of this, so let us take care of this child instead." So the old couple decided to care for the boy, and they named the boy Mao Nya Lu. Because the couples were elderly, the wife could not breastfeed her infant child. So they would milk horses and cows and give their milk to the child. And the child grew up on the milk of horses and cows. And he became a very tall and handsome boy with crystal white skin. When it came time for him to go to school, so he was probably around 6 or 7 years old now, he would beat every kid in intelligence because he was so smart. And the boys his age would be so jealous of his intelligence, and they would tease him. "Nè mò nha lư, na mi nhu mi ning lo. O ya chen ho yo gần the king cha bê thia," which translate to Mò nha lư, who grew up on horses and cow's milk, how can you be smarter than us? So every day he goes to school, and they would tease him this way. So one day he went to his mom and dad, and he said to them, "Mother, father, am I not born from you? Why is it that every time I go to school, the kids would tease me that I have no parents and was raised from horses and cow's milk? Are you not my mom and dad?" "Son, they only say that because they are jealous that you are smarter than them." "He is your dad, and I am your mom," said the old Chinese lady, and Mao Nya Lu was happy. However, when he went back to school again, the children would tease him, saying he wasn't their son and grew up on horses and cow's milk. So he went to ask his parents 3 more times. And on the 4th time, he finally said, "If you will not tell me the truth, then I shall die." And so his father replied, "You are our son. We've raised you for this long, and you've become such a wonderful young boy. We love you and we care for you, and we would say we are your parents every single time. However, since you said you will die if we do not tell you the truth, then I will tell you." He turned to his wife and said, "Go and fetch the 2 pieces of cloth." And then to his son, "For the longest time, we've been praying to the heavens for a child, but we could never bear our own. But there was a day with heavy rainfall, and we heard you crying in the back of the house." During that time, the rainfall was created by Nkauj. When she gave birth, she created a huge rainfall from the heavens, so she can send her child to the 2 elderly couple, knowing that they were kind people. In the Hmong culture, when a daughter marries and returns home with a child, she cannot give birth to the child in the house. And back then, because there wasn't any hospital to go to, so of course they would give birth to the child in a house. And so, not wanting to bring the child to her parents, right after she gave birth, she sent him down with the rain to the elderly Chinese couple's house. And the old Chinese man continued his story saying, "When we found you, you had a cloth wrapped around your head and another cloth wrapped around your feet. So these 2 cloths are your heirlooms, and it is proof that you are from heaven. Please, Father, give me those 2 pieces of cloth," the boy begged. "I want to bring these with me so I can go find my real parents." "Please don't go, my son," said the old man. "We are old and will no longer be able to help ourselves. Please stay and remain with us." The son comforted him and said, I will go find my birth parents, but I will not forget you. I will plant a tree in front of the house, and when you are old and can no longer work, sell everything you have, and when you are hungry, go to the tree and place a bowl underneath it and say, we want to eat meat, and it will drop a piece of meat for you to eat. And if you go to the tree and place a plate underneath it and say, we want to eat rice, it will drop some rice for you to eat. And when you go to the tree, place a pail underneath it and said, we want to drink water, and it will drop water into the pail and you can drink it, and you will no longer have to work. So early the next morning, he woke up and he started leaving. And before he left, he planted a tree in front of the house. And to his parents he said, take care of this tree and do not let it die, so that when it grows, you will have the means to eat. Are you really leaving us? His mother cried. The boy held her hands in his and said, I will go find my birth parents, and when I do, I will call for you to come and live with me. And so Hmong Unabridged left the house of the two elderly Chinese parents and went off to look for his birth parents. Knowing that he is the child of heaven and that his mother was the daughter of the King of heaven, he walked towards the road that would lead him to the palace gate of heaven. On his way, he met a wise man. The wise man asked where he was going, and he in turn told the wise man the story of his mother and father. That his father was Tunjo and married Nkauj, and how their marriage was destroyed when his dad did not listen to his mother and opened the front door of their house and caused the king to steal his mother from him. When he was born, his mother sent him down with the rainfall to the old Chinese couple's house, and now he is on his way to look for his mom. The wise man who had been listening to this story gave him an advice. "Oh, son," he said, "when you get to the doors of heaven and you pass through the gates to the palace, you will see many young women sitting at the front palace sewing. Each one will be prettier than the last, but your mother will not be one of them. You will look for an old hag whose clothes are torn and dirty. Her dress will still be fresh with milk from her breast. That will be your mother. And when you came upon her, grab her by the arm and said, 'Mom, I want some milk, I want some milk,' and she will know that you are her son." Then the wise man left, and Hmong Unabridged continued walking towards the gate of the palace of heaven. And he walked, and the more he walked, the higher he gets, until he came onto the gate that opens to the palace of the kingdom of heaven. He saw many, many beautiful women sewing by the front door of the palace. Each woman was more beautiful than the last, and he wondered which one was his mother. Then he remembered what the wise man had told him. He passed each beautiful woman until he came upon an old hag. Her dresses were torn and dirty, for she had been crying and missing her child, and would wipe her tears on her dress, and her breast still filled with milk. This was definitely his mother, he thought. He ran up to her and grabbed her and said, "Mom, I want some milk, I want some milk." Nkauj mumbled, "Oi, what child is this that keeps asking to drink my milk? Aren't you embarrassed? Do you even have proof that you are my child?" I do have proof that you are my mother," says Hmong Unabridged. "Then show me your proof." The boy took out his backpack and placed the two cloths by her feet, saying, "These two cloths are what you used to wrap me, one on my head and the other on my feet." "Oh, you truly are my child," she cried. "When I gave birth to you, I knew your grandfather would never allow me to bring you into his palace. So I created a giant rainfall and sent you down to the two elderly Chinese couple. How big you've grown, and you've finally found me." Hmong Unabridged sat with his mother for a while and then asked her, "Where is my father? Please tell me who he is." And she answered, "Your father, he was once an orphan who had no place to call home. Now he is the king of the capital city on earth." "I will bring you to go look for my dad," said Hmong Unabridged. "Oh, now, you cannot. Your grandfather will never allow this. He is so powerful, and we will never be able to get away from him. You just stay here and be with me for a while, she said. So Monyalu agreed, hoping that he could find a way to take his mother with him. While he stayed with his mother, she told him, "If you ever need to go poop, come poop on my skirt, and I will get rid of it for you. But by no means shall you use the toilet." And so Monyalu agreed. So he stayed with his mother for a couple of months, and one day he needed to poop. He remembered his mother telling him not to poop in the toilet, but instead to run to her and poop into her skirt, and she will take care of it for him. However, he was too embarrassed, so he went and pooped into the toilet. And when he flushed the toilet, a loud rushing sound of water can be heard throughout the palace of heaven. "Hush! Who dare use my bathroom?" cried a loud voice. The king of heaven, who is Monyalu's grandfather, came out of the palace to check. "It is I," said Monyalu. "I have come for my mother, and I will bring her with me to go look for my father." "Oi! What child is this that come to me telling you're going to take my daughter back to Earth? I've allowed her to go to Earth a long time ago, and she was not loved. I've saved her once and brought her back. How can you say you want to take her back with you?" "She is my mother," he said, "and I will take her to find my father." "Your father did not love your mother," said the king. "I will never allow this." And Monyalu retorted back, "I will bring her back with me no matter what." "No matter what, hey? Well then, let's play a game of hide and seek. If you can find me, then you can take your mother back. But if I can find you, and you were never able to find me, then you must stay here with me forever." "Okay," he said. "If that is the only way, then let's play this game. Who should hide first?" said Monyalu. "I'll hide first," said his grandfather. So Monyalu closed his eyes and started counting. And the king went towards the big peach tree at the corner of the yard and transformed into a peach so red and ripe and placed himself at the top of the peach tree. Once Monyalu stopped counting, he started searching for his grandfather. And he searched, and he searched, and he searched, but he could not find his grandfather at all. So he went to his mother and said to her, "Mom, I cannot find grandfather. Where could he be?" His mother then whispered to him, "My son, if you can't find your grandfather, go to the peach tree by the corner of the yard and say out loud, 'I can't find grandfather anywhere, that I am so famished. The peach on his peach tree looks so good. Let me take this stick and poke the fruit so it will fall and I can eat it. Then take a big stick and poke at Grandpa's peaches, and he will surely appear." So Monyalu swiftly went off towards the peach tree and saw the big, red, ripe peach at the very top of the tree. He then took a stick and said out loud, I cannot find grandfather anywhere. I've searched so long that I am now famished. I will take the stick and poke at the peach so that it will fall and I can eat it." So he started poking at the peach. Then his grandpa started shouting, "Oh, no, no, no! What child is this? I am not a peach. I am your grandfather. You almost made me lose my grasp." "Oh, I found you, grandfather!" the boy exclaimed. "Now can I take mother with me?" No, not yet. It was only your turn. Now it's my turn to seek. You go hide, and I will look for you," said his grandfather. So the king closed his eyes. Monyalu ran towards his mom and asked her, "Mom, where should I hide?" So his mother took him into her hand and lightly brushed the dirt off of him, and suddenly he became a comb. She tucked the comb into her hair and continued sewing. When his grandfather finished counting, he started looking for the boy. He searched everywhere, from the roof to the inside of the house, but no matter where he searched, the boy could not be found. So after a while, he finally said, "Oh, son, I give up. You win. Please show yourself." "Ah, ha, 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 I'm right here," said Monyalu, sitting on his mother's lap. "I've been with my mother this whole time." The king was so shocked. "You were there this whole time? I have ran past your mother so many times, and yet I did not see you. Okay then, This time, let me go hide again, and you can come look for me once more." So he said that and ran off, while Monyalu closed his eyes, urging his grandfather to find a better hiding place, and started counting again. So the king ran off towards the gate and transformed into a beautiful rooster and roosted himself on the gate. Again the boy searched for his grandfather until he went back to his mom and said, "I've searched for Grandpa all this time and cannot find him. Where can he be?" His mother said, "Go to the gate and pretend to look for him there, and you will see Grandpa's rooster. Say out loud, 'Oh, I've been looking for Grandpa all day and cannot find him. I'm so famished. Let me kill Grandpa's rooster, cook it, and eat it so I'll have enough strength to go look for him, and surely your grandpa will appear.'" So again the boy took off towards the gate where the rooster stood. He went up to the rooster and looking at it in the eye, he says, "Oh, I've searched and searched for Grandpa all day long. I cannot find him. It's made me so hungry. I might as well take this rooster, kill it and cook it and eat it so maybe I will have enough energy to go find Grandpa." So he grabbed the rooster and brought him into the kitchen. "Oh, yo, it is I, Grandpa, not a rooster. Yet you're going to kill me and eat me?" "Oh, Grandpa," he laughed. "If you didn't turn back into a human, I would have thought you were a rooster and killed you and eat you." "Okay, now, you go hide, and I will try to find you again," said the king. So the boy waited for his grandfather to close his eyes, and he ran back towards his mom. He asked her, "Mom, where should I go hide this time?" His mother took him into her hand and brushed the dirt off him, and he transformed into a sewing needle, which she used to sew her cloth. Once again, the king started searching for him. He searched and searched and searched from the roof of the house to the inside and to everywhere in sight and could not find Monyalu. He then called out, "Okay, son, I give up. You win. Please show yourself." "Ah, ha, 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 ha. I'm right here, grandfather," said the boy, sitting on his mother's lap. "I've been here with my mom the whole time." "Darn, you hide so well. I came here multiple times and cannot see you, and yet you have been here this whole time with your mother?" "All right, one more time," said the grandfather. "I will hide one more time, and if you can find me, you can take your mother with you." And so the boy closed his eyes and started counting again. The king ran toward the pasture and turned himself into a tall, dark stallion and started to eat the grass on the field. Monyalu searched for him, and he searched and he searched and he searched, but he could not find his grandfather anywhere. So again he ran towards his mother, and again he asked her, "Mom, I cannot find grandfather anywhere. Where can he be?" His mother said, "Son, go to the pasture, and you will see grandfather's stallion. Go and say out loud, 'Oh, I've searched long and far for Grandpa, but cannot find him. Let me saddle this horse and use it to go look for my grandfather, and surely your grandfather will appear.'" So he did what his mother said. He ran towards the pasture and indeed saw his grandfather's stallion eating grass on the field. He ran towards it, and looking at it in the eye, he said, "Oh, I've searched for Grandpa long and far, and yet I cannot find him. Let me saddle up this stallion and ride it to go look for him." So he took a saddle and placed it on the stallion and started riding it faster and faster and faster throughout the whole pasture until his grandfather cried out, "Ay, ay, ay, ay! It is I, your grandfather, not a horse. You're going to ride me to death. You win, my child. You can take your mother with you back to earth." So Monyalu took his mother with him back to earth. When the two passed the gates of the palace of heaven, Monyalu's mother pointed toward two roads and said, "Son, shall we take the road of the mortal or the road of the heavens? The road of the mortals will take us 3 months to get to your father, but the road of the heavens will only take us 3 days. However, it is governed by your grandfather's power, and he is so strong that we may not be able to walk on it." Monyalu thought and said to his mom, "The road of the mortals is too long. Let's go ahead and take the road of the heavens." She answered him, "But your grandfather's power is so strong. Do you think you can handle it?" Monyalu said, "I can definitely handle it." So they took off on the road of the heavens. They walked and walked and walked all day until they came to the road where thorns and vines were curled up all over the place, and the wind howled and brushed them against each other. This became a dead end, and there was nowhere else they could go around. "Oh, how the road has closed on us," the boy exclaimed. "I told you, son, that your grandfather's power is so strong. He is stopping us from moving forward. We will have to turn back and may not be able to see your father again." "No worries, mother," he said. "Let me write a letter." So he took out his notebook and wrote some words on the note and threw it at the road. The vines and thorns made way, and the wind stopped howling. So the two went on their way on the road. And they walked until it was night, and they came to a rest that night. The next day, after breakfast, they started walking again. And again, the road ended up in front of a pride of lions fighting a pack of wolves. They fought and growled and pounced at each other, and closer they got to the two. "Oh, I told you, son, that your father's power was so strong. He has stopped us, and we can no longer go any further." "No worries, mother. Let me write a letter." So he took out a notebook and wrote a couple of words on a piece of paper. And he threw the piece of paper at the lions and the wolves, and they dispersed into thin air, and the road appeared right in front of them. So they started on their way again and walked until night came, and they slept. And again they woke up the next morning and started walking again, and they followed the road until they came upon two big rocks on each side of the road. And these rocks would smash against each other over and over again, to where anyone who enters the road between the two rocks will inevitably be smashed by them. "Oh no, I told you, my son, that your grandfather is so powerful. He has blocked us once again, and we cannot go any further." "No worries, mother. Let me write a letter." So he took out his notebook and wrote a couple of words on the piece of paper and threw it at the two giant rocks. And the two giant rocks went back to where they stood beside the road and allowed them to walk past them onward. So as the third day ended, they finally ended up at the capital city of Earth. As it was dark, the gate to the city was closed, so they slept outside the gate. The next morning, as they finished breakfast, Maunyalu went to the guards and said, "Go tell the king that I am his son, and I have brought my mother back to live with him." So the guards went to tell the king. Now, it's been about 10 years, and in these 10 years of bliss and being busy as a king, Ntsuab had forgotten his life before he was a king. And so he replied, "Oi, who dare say they are my son? And who is this wife he talks about?" So the guards went back and told them to leave, for the king do not know them. "If he does not know us," said Maunyalu, "please take this bowl of porridge we have made and bring it to the king to eat. He is the king. All he eats are stewed and fried meats of all sorts. Why would he eat this measly bowl of porridge?" Unrelenting, the boy said to the guards, "He does not have to eat it. Tell the king that all he has to do is poke the dish with his spoon 3 times, and he will see." And so the guards went back to the king with a bowl of porridge, and they said to the king, "We went to this mother and son, and we told them to leave. But instead, they told us to bring in this bowl of porridge. We told them that you do not eat this stuff, but they insisted we bring it to you." "Oi! I only eat stewed and fried meats of all sorts," said the king. "Why would I eat this measly porridge?" The boy said, "Even if you do not eat this porridge, you can just poke the porridge 3 times. So the king poked the bowl of porridge 3 times, and he saw a letter. He started reading the letter, and it read, "Do you remember a wife you once had called Nkauj? She is my mother, and I am your son, whom you've borne some 10 odd years ago." Then this jogged the king's memories, and he exclaimed, "Oh, how I had forgotten! All these years living in bliss and being such a busy king, I've forgotten about my dear wife and son. Guards, go and retrieve them." So the guards went and retrieved his wife and son from the gates. Now, Nkauj was a kind woman. When she saw her husband, she said to him, "Although I may be the first woman you married, with everything that had happened, and you marry 9 other wives, I will become your 10th wife instead of your first one. I will take the rank of your 10th wife instead of your first wife. And so, the king has 9 beautiful wives, and now his 10th wife was the most beautiful of them all, that even all 9 of them together was no match, as she was both young and beautiful. So he loved her the most of all. And this is why men who had multiple wives would love their last wife the most, because they are considered the youngest and most beautiful. And the king said to his son, Monyalu, now that you have found me, let me know what you want from me. And Monyalu said, all I desire is to be king and bring the elderly Chinese couple to come live with me. And so, having his wife and his son, the king was happy enough to give his crown to his son. And as the son grew, he became a great king and brought the older Chinese couple to live with him as he had promised. The end. A lot of Hmong folktales, the number of 3s comes a lot. Because Nkauj tells them to go back 3 times. And then they played hide and seek 3 times. And I think even before, in the previous episode, the king and Ntsuag had the competition 3 times as well. So I wonder if the number 3 has like a special meaning in the Hmong culture.
I think that the number 3 is important in the Hmong culture because it is repetitive. It's repeated so many times in so many different stories. And in this story, it's repeated multiple times as well. I'm not sure what the significance of 3 is. No, I don't know. Like, if anyone knows the significance of 3s and why it's always 3, let us know. Because even when you get Hmong massages, you have to do it 3 times. If you don't do it 3 times, it doesn't work, apparently.
Yeah. Like, Hmong massage like sai king na yo. You have to do it 3 times to like take away the shock.
I don't remember the Chinese couple telling the son the story of his parents and their circumstances of marriage after they got married and the king came and married his mom. So I don't know how he knew that.
No, because in the story, they didn't really tell him. But I think in the a lot of Hmong storytelling, everything is assumed behind the scene.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, everything is assumed behind the scene. Because if we do that, then the story will be too long, right? If mom and dad was telling the story and us as a child asked them, how did he know? And they'll just say, well, of course they told him. But it was told, yeah, they probably told him.
They probably told him.
But then how did they know, right? So they probably know behind the scene.
Yeah, that was one thing. That was like a plot hole. That kind of
The part where the Chinese couple found him, it reminds me so much of Hercules.
I saw the same thing in my mind when you were telling me about the couple finding him. I saw Hercules and the 2
Yeah, me
old
too.
couples,
Same
the
here.
Disney version.
So I'm just
of
like, wow, a lot
Hercules.
of these are so similar to other stories. Or I guess every story is basically the same thing. You go everywhere and there's always a Cinderella story. There's always a boy from the heaven story or something like that.
Yeah, or a couple who is infertile and they're magically given a child. It is such a repeated motif. I think that's the word. I felt so bad for the king. And I know that he just forced Nkauj to marry him, but he also gave up his kingdom. And then for Nkauj to, I don't know, I just felt really bad for the king.
I do feel kind of bad for the king too, because like you said, right, he gave up everything to marry her, but she despised him. And to me, I was like, it's kind of weird how she pretended to like him, and then just kill him right once they enter the bedchamber.
But did she actually kill him, or was it just assumed and then she said, yes,
It was
I killed
implied
him?
that she killed him, and she was the one that placed him in the fire, and then she left. That's why, because in the story she said that I despised him so much that I killed him.
Oh,
I was like,
see.
maybe that's why she can't come back either, because she is now a murderer.
She did come back at the
She
end.
did come back after 10 years. There are so many other ways to go around this issue other than, killing the king. because they could have left. They could have went to heaven. She'd be like, all right, then let's just go to heaven together.
Or they could have just held out and be like, sorry, we beat you fair and square.
Yeah, because we can already see that her dad was probably really strong, so he would be able to back them up, right? But in the end, she was like, you go and be king. But then remember how I was talking about in the previous episode where maybe this was part of her plan the whole time, where giving him a better life, and this is just how she thought was the best way to go at it? You never know. Maybe she was like, this is how we need to do it so that Ntsuab becomes king, and then I will just leave. But then it seems like she does want to be with him. As she said, if I have a daughter, we won't see each other again. But if I have a son, we will. So it's kind of like she does have that hope that, okay, maybe the son will bring us back together. Which brings me to this question, sister. How come if it's a daughter, they will never be together again? But if it's a son, there's a chance that they will be together again.
I don't know. but but maybe it has to do with maybe misogyny. That like women aren't able to do as much as a son because okay, traditionally when a girl is married, you are kind of not part of your birth family anymore because you are now part of the part of your married family. And the son will always be part of the family no matter what. No matter who you marry, who you divorce, who you remarry again. That maybe it just
Yeah, I
had to
was
do
actually
with,
thinking the same thing
well, boys are
because
going
in
to keep
our
the family
Hmong,
together no matter
I
what.
would say in a Hmong
I don't
culture, we have
know.
this
it's
word,
just a it's just a
Ntsaag.
guess.
We as Yansai Yula, meaning that we as women, our parents give birth to us just to be guests. So like you said, we weren't really looked at as being, a reliable heir to the family name, right? And but the boys, no matter where they are, like you said, they will always return. Like if you see a couple and the husband dies
Yes.
and the woman has a son and a daughter, and the woman maybe she goes to remarried and she takes their son and the daughter with her, the husband's side will be like, the son, if he wants to come back, he will return to us one day. But the daughter he goes marry off, they don't really care about that. They're like, she marries off, she's going to become someone else's family in the future anyway, right? So why look at her as an important part of the family? Do you think
That's
as
what I've
Hmong
always thought
people
too.
we've kind of changed this mindset?
I think we are moving away from this mindset. A lot of people still value sons more than daughters, but I do see that a lot of people are moving away from that thinking and they have come to realize that no matter what gender your children is, whether they are your son or your daughter, they bring the
Yeah.
same value
Whether if
into
it's
the
a son
family.
or a daughter, whoever loves you will love you, and whoever wants nothing to do with you will want nothing to do with you. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty
Yes,
interesting
uh-huh.
because when I was a child, I was like, how come? And I remember asking mom this, and mom did say it's because girls are born and they are meant to become someone else's family, but boys are born to continue this the family lineage, and that's probably why.
But like I said, I feel like our society and our Hmong culture and Hmong practices are starting to change, and we are no longer as focused on the gender of our children.
Hmm.
Everyone has children and they are thankful. But then I do see that there might be a little bit of a favoritism towards boys,
Hmm.
but it's starting to
Yeah.
not be as prevalent. But I think it's more of our generation growing up and having our own children, and we're not putting that same social
Hmm.
construct or hierarchy into our families
Yeah.
where we value
This
boys over
actually
girls.
reminds me, or I kind of want to discuss this, how when we were little, what I understood was girls will do all the chores in the house, but the boys can just do whatever they want. I remember, I don't know, maybe it was mom who told me, or was it, or some other female person that told me um, how girls were meant to like basically do all the chores, do dishes, do everything, and then the boys they can just go off and play and do whatever they want. And I think when we came to like the Western world, it was kind of hard for girls to really feel important, right? Because they can see that their brothers have different treatments that they do, where the brothers can go do other stuff, they can do whatever they want, while the girls are stuck at home doing stuff for the family. But then now I kind of see that boys are starting to do more chores at home too, and they're starting to have that equality. It comes back to equality, right? Where girls and boys are being treated the same and are doing the same kind of work in the household. Another thing that I want to talk about was I think it was just so cute, the part of the grandpa playing hide and seek with his grandson. Because I feel like it wasn't like, yeah, the grandpa didn't want him to take his mother back, but like out of all these challenges, he chose hide and seek. And I thought that was a very cute scene that they did.
Yes, I thought so too. It was my favorite part of the story. And it just showed the love of a grandfather to his grandchildren, even though they didn't really have a relationship. I felt like the grandfather loved him just from the game and the way he
Mhm.
interacted with the son or with the grandson. And I really thought that was a really cute
Mhm.
part of the
I
story.
remember I would ask mom like, Mom, how come the mom like knows where the grandpa is at all times? Like, is she just that powerful? And mom was like, well, I mean, she's not playing the game, so she has her eyes open. She can see where the grandpa went. And that could just remind us of how we would play with like our nieces and nephews hide and seek, and then you will see like the other adulting. They're over there. They're just pointing over there towards where the other person is hiding. So I thought that that was very cute of the whole thing.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute too. I really enjoyed that part of the story. One one issue that I do have in the story is the son or the son becoming king. Because I feel so bad for the other wives' children. I'm sure he has children with other wives, and they grew up in the kingdom. They grew up as the king's children. And here comes this boy who has not lived in the palace all his life, and he's like, I want to be king. And he gets to be king. And I just can't help but feel bad for
Hey,
the
maybe it's
other
assumed
his
that
other half
there's no other
siblings.
siblings. but I do agree
Oh,
with you. And then
okay.
I also feel bad for the other nine wives. How it says at the end, how it says that he loves her the most because she was the most young and beautiful, and that is why Hmong men would love Nayong because she was the most beautiful and youngest wife of all of his wives. I was like, oh, that's kind of mean.
Yeah, I thought that that detail or that added detail was kind of funny. Just a side note, this is why we have multiple wives. I just thought that was kind of funny.
But I
Those
mean, she
all
was
those poor
nice enough to
wives.
say, I'll just be your 10th wife. I don't have to be the first wife.
But technically, she is his first wife, though.
Yeah, she is. I would say because he didn't really wanted to be kingdom. I mean, he didn't really wanted to be king and marry those nine wives. I would say those wives are just surrogate wives to him. So they're not like his true wife.
Yes, but I do feel bad for them though because they are treated as objects. The previous king, just said you can have them, and then the new king, which is Dunjo, comes and he just takes ownership
Yeah,
of
like
them,
one day they're like,
and
"Oh,
I
my
just feel so
husband, he
bad.
left," and then a new guy came, like, "Oh, I'm king now. I'm your husband." You know? And then 10 years will pass, and like, "Oh, here's my wife. I'm gonna take care of her now. You guys can just like be behind the scene." Yeah, we
Yes,
laugh
oh,
about
so
this, but
sad.
this is to me is it's very disrespectful of women, right? To say that as you get older, you get uglier. I need to find a younger, more beautiful wife. It's disrespectful to say, you know, you can have this woman and I can have a better woman. And it's this disrespect and this viewing a woman as an object, it still goes on today. Even I look at YouTube and Facebook, I always see how men would go and they would go snatch a wife, or they would go and get a new wife, and it's just so unfair to a woman, especially in the Hmong culture.
Yes, it happens all over the world though. But since we have first-hand experience in the Hmong culture, we're able to kind of relate more to the Hmong culture, and we do see that
Oh, and
more
the last thing that I
often.
kind of want to talk about is I do appreciate Mo Nya, how he takes care of the old Chinese couple, where they said that, you can't leave because we're old now. Who's going to take care of us? And before he leaves, he makes sure to like plant that tree and said that this tree will take care of you. You want to eat meat, you want to eat rice, you want to drink, come to this tree and it will give you all of these. And then even in the end, he brought the older Chinese couple to come and live with him in his kingdom. So I see that how he appreciates the love that the Chinese couple gave him, and he was able to return that favor and continue to take care of him even when he's not there.
Yeah, that was a very nice gesture of him. But I also have a question. How did he find out that he had this magical ability of planting magical trees that give you food? I don't remember anything in the story that says he was magical before that point.
It,
And then right before he leaves, he says, I'm going to plant this tree.
it's assumed behind the scene.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess so. If there's more details, the story would be much longer, I guess. This story lacks a lot of world building. I think that's why it seems so confusing whenever we see magic coming out of the blue. Maybe this is just a magical world in general, and it's just assumed that these things happen, and it's not something very mystical. It's just everyday life. And there's people who are normal people like us, and there's people who are
Possibly,
magical,
yeah,
like the
that
sun.
possibly could happen. But we'll never know because we don't know who first told this story. So, well, that is the end of the story. And we hope you enjoy the story as much as I enjoyed telling it. And I hope that you guys continue to listen to our podcast and to our other stories that we will tell in the future. Just want to thank you, and please comment, subscribe, and share these podcasts with your friends.